Today, the practical based experiments on the properties of solids and liquids shall be discussed, and the problems shall be solved on the topics of properties of solids and liquids. The experiment based on properties of solid is Young's modulus. Young's modulus is defined as the ratio of longitudinal stress to longitudinal strain, or tensile stress to tensile strain. This is the picture or slide which shows us the apparatus, Searle's apparatus to conduct the modulus of elasticity, Young's modulus of elasticity. The two sample wires W1 and W2 are connected to the Searle's apparatus at A and B. The wire A is subjected to a dead load P, whereas the wire 2 W2 is subjected for variable loads. Variable loads which can be changed from say 500 grams to 1000, and then 1000 to 1500, and then 1500 to 2000, so on. So, in steps of 500 grams we are going to vary the load on the wire W2. Initially, with the dead load P, without adding any load to W2, we adjust the Searle's apparatus for equilibrium, or we see that the spirit level is at the level, so that the spirit is at the center. The spirit level is shown below P. So, when the spirit level is at the center, the two wires are at the same length. So, next we note down the readings on the screw gauge or micrometer in the Searle's apparatus. We all know the screw gauge consists of two scales, pitch scale and head scale. So, the readings are to be taken on both the scales, pitch scale reading as well as head scale reading. Before taking the readings, first we will have to calculate the least count of the Searle's apparatus or the micrometer. The least count of the micrometer is given as LC, that is equal to 1 PST by N. The 1 PST is equal to 1 mm, and number of divisions on the head scale is 100. So, 1 mm by 100 gives us a least count of 0.01 millimeter. So, after calculating the least count without adding any load on W2, we first take a reading on the Searle's apparatus micrometer, and we tabulate it as the dead load. We have not added any load to the W2, only W1 is acting upon by a dead load. So, for load increase we are going to tabulate both PSR and HSR, and we are going to calculate the total reading as PSR plus HSR into least count. So, this process is repeated for different weights increasing in the order of 500 grams. So, first dead load 0 grams, second we will repeat that for 500 grams, thirdly we will do it for 1000, 1500, next 2000 and 2500 grams. So, each time when a load is added, the wire W2 undergoes some extension, and since there is an extension, variation in the length of both the wires W1 and W2, the spirit level is imbalanced. So, to balance that spirit level, we have to rotate the screw in the micrometer. The screw is provided here. So, rotating the screw, we can adjust the spirit level to the center, and once the spirit level comes to the center, we will note down the reading PSR as well as HSR, and later calculate the total reading. TR is equal to PSR plus HSR into least count. This tabular column is to find the diameter of the wire. The diameter of the wire is again calculated using or measured using a screw gauge or a micrometer. Screw gauge works on the principle of screw and nut, and in a screw gauge again first we will have to calculate the least count, we have to check the error, and we will do the correction, zero correction ZC. If the error is negative, the correction will be positive, and if the error is positive, the correction will be negative. So, once the least count and error is noted down at three various different points, on the wire, we will note down the readings for PSR and HSR and calculate the total reading. PSR plus bracket CHSR into least count is your total reading, that is the diameter of the wire. So, three different trials are taken, so that when we calculate the average, the errors in measurement are minimized. So, mean diameter D is calculated, and that is in millimeters. So, the second part, as I told, varying the load in steps of 500 grams, we will adjust the spirit level to the center and will take down the readings in for load increasing. So, once we reach the maximum load of 2500 grams or 2.5 kgs, we keep that reading same for both the not we repeat the same procedure while decreasing the load. When the load is decreasing, since the material is elastic in the elastic region, the material will regain its original length. So, when the load is decreased, the extended wire comes back to its original length, and that readings are again tabulated. Again, while reducing the load, since the wire is trying to regain its original length, the spirit level is again imbalanced, and to adjust the spirit level, we again rotate the screw in the Searles apparatus, set it to the center and note down the readings on both pitch scale as well as head scale. So, the load decreasing column, we tabulate the readings from the bottom, from the 6th trial to the 1st trial. That is, since we are reducing the load, we will tabulate the readings from bottom. The X is calculated as x1 difference, the mean is calculated as x is equal to x1 plus x2 by 2, that is load increasing readings plus load decreasing readings we add, divided by 2, will get the extension in wire x dash. Next, the extension for different constant load, that is, suppose we want to calculate a load difference of 1500 grams, we will minus 4 minus 4th trial x4 minus x1 will give the extension for a mass of 1500 grams. Suppose we want an extension to be calculated for 1000 grams, we will do x3 minus x1 and so on. So, depending on what mass we want to calculate the extension, we will do the difference as x3 minus x1 or x4 minus x1 or x5 minus x1. Suppose we want a load difference of 1500 grams, we will have to do it as x4 minus x1, x5 minus x2, x6 minus x3. So, we will get 3 extensions for 3 values of extensions for a load of 1500 grams. Mean of that is calculated and recorded as the extension in wire E. The Young's modulus of the wire is calculated as y is equal to 4 into GL by pi d squared into capital M by E, where G is 9.8 meter per second square. If we write it in CGS units, it becomes 980 centimeter per second square. Capital L is the original length of the wire before adding any load. So, when there is no load added to the wire W2, what will be the length of the wire? That is the capital length, original length of the wire. D is the diameter of the wire, pi is 22 by 7, M is the load for which we are calculating the extension. As I told, we calculate the load for constant load of 1500 kg. What will be the extension? So, M will be 1500 grams or 1.5 kgs if we substitute in SI units, and the extension wire is calculated from the tabular column, that is substituted, and we calculate the Young's modulus. The CGS unit of Young's modulus is written as dyne per centimeter square, and the SI unit is written as Newton per meter square. So, that is the experiment based on the properties of solid to find the Young's modulus of the wire using Searle's apparatus. Searle's apparatus is simple apparatus. It's similar to the screw gauge, which is used to measure the diameter of the wire. So, once we know how to use the screw gauge, we can easily take the readings on the Searle's apparatus. Only thing we have to know there is to adjust the spirit level so that it comes to the center. So, once we adjust the spirit level, we will note down the pitch scale reading, head scale reading, calculate the total reading, and remaining is all calculations. So, this procedure is repeated in 2 steps, while increasing the load, secondly while decreasing the load in steps of 500 grams each. So, that is the Young's modulus of the wire using Searle's apparatus. The next experiment is based on the properties of liquids, and that is the surface tension of water. Surface tension of water, as we discussed in the previous session, surface tension exists only at the free surface of the liquid because of the molecules being present only below at the surface and not above the surface. The downward and the sideward drag of the molecules creates a tension at the surface, and that we call it as surface tension. Surface tension is the experiment is conducted using the method of capillarity. So, in capillary rise method, we have 2 steps in the experiment. One is to find the height of the capillary rise in the liquid in the capillary tube, and secondly to find the radius of the capillary tube, that is to find the diameter of capillary bore or to find the radius of the capillary bore. Now, this is the apparatus setup of the experiment. So, we have a stand. The stand is connected to the capillary tube, which is vertical. A tripod stand is used to keep the beaker containing water or liquid, whosever surface tension has to be calculated. Any liquid of density D can be taken, and when we immerse the capillary tube in the liquid, we find that wetting liquids will rise in the capillary tube and non-wetting liquids will fall in the capillary tube below the actual level or above the actual level of liquid in the beaker. So, the tripod stand is an adjustable stand. It can be adjusted according to our convenience to different heights. Travelling microscope is the instrument used to measure both the radius or diameter of the capillary tube and also to find the capillary rise in the capillary tube. So, travelling microscope is again based on the principle of vernier. Microscope, as we know, it is used to get a magnified image of a very small object. So, purpose of microscope is to magnify the object, and since it is movable in both horizontal and vertical direction, we call it as travelling microscope. The travelling microscope works on the principle of vernier calipers, and we all know the vernier calipers is based on the principle of vernier. that is, if there are n divisions on the 1 year scale, that must be equally divided into n minus 1 divisions on the mean scale. So, in the travelling microscope, first we have to calculate the least count. To calculate the least count is given as value of 1 main scale division by n, where n is the total number of divisions on the 1 year scale. So, the value of 1 main scale division is noted down in centimeters. On a travelling microscope, it is 0.5 millimeter or 0.05 centimeter, and there are 50 divisions on the 1 year calipers. So, 0.05 divided by 50 gives us a least count of 0.001 centimeter on the travelling microscope. So, once the travelling microscope least count of the travelling microscope is calculated, we focus the travelling microscope to two different positions, one to the actual level of water in the beaker and the other one to the actual level of water in the capillary tube. So, two readings are noted down, one to the actual level of water in beaker, second to the level of water in the capillary tube. So, these two readings are noted down, and if we take the difference of x1 minus x2 or x2 minus x1, leaving out the sign, we get the actual height of the liquid in the beaker. The second part is to find out the diameter of the capillary tube. So, the diameter can be noted down in both the directions, one along the horizontal direction and the other one along the vertical direction. The picture to the left right here, this picture shows this is the figure to calculate the diameter of the capillary tube. So, we will get two readings, one along the horizontal scale and the other one along the vertical scale. The average of both is calculated, and that is tabulated as the diameter of the capillary tube. So, the mean radius is calculated as d by 2, and the surface tension of water is calculated as T is equal to H G R by 2. The CGS unit of surface tension is dyne per centimeter, whereas the SI unit of surface tension is Newton per meter. There is a mistake in the slide, I would like to correct it up. The SI unit of surface tension is Newton per meter. So, the formula for surface tension of water is T is equal to H G R by 2, where H is the rise of the liquid in the capillary tube, G is the acceleration due to gravity, R is the radius of the capillary tube. So, substituting the values of H, G and R, the surface tension of water can be calculated. The same procedure can be repeated for any other liquid, but the formula varies as H G R into D, where D will be the density of the liquid divided by 2 cos theta, where theta is the angle of contact. The formula is reduced to HGR by 2 for water, because the density of water in CGS units is taken as 1 gram per cc, and the angle of contact for water is 0 degrees. So, cos 0 becomes 1. So, the formula reduces to T is equal to G H R by 2. The formula has to be slightly modified for other liquids. As I told, the formula will change as D G H R by 2 cos theta, where D is the density of the liquid and theta will be the angle of contact of the liquid. The third experiment based on the properties of liquids is the viscosity. The viscosity of liquid here is calculated using the Poiseuille's method, and the viscosity is defined as the property of the liquid or the resistive force offered by different layers of liquid for the easy flow of the liquid is called as viscosity. So, the aim of the experiment is to determine the coefficient of viscosity of water by Poiseuille's method. So, the apparatus setup of the experiment is shown in this figure. So, we have an aspirator bottle denoted by 1, A capillary tube is connected to that using a rubber cock, and water is flowing down out of the capillary tube, which is collected in a beaker. The aspirator bottle is placed on a stand, so that there is a convenience for us to collect the water flowing out of the capillary tube. So, this is the actual setup of the experiment. We have only 4 objects to be taken. One is the aspirator bottle, the other one is the capillary tube, a beaker to collect the water flowing out of the capillary tube, and a stand. So, when initially before allowing the water to flow out of the capillary tube, we close the capillary tube and note down the initial height in the capillary aspirator bottle, and that is written down as H1. Next, setting a stopwatch for some time t in seconds, maybe it can be 300 seconds or 600 seconds depending on the radius of the capillary tube. If the radius is more, the time will set is less. If the radius is less, we have to allow the water to flow for longer time. So, depending on the radius of the capillary tube, we will set the timings. For example, 5 minutes, 5 into 6 will be 300 seconds. So, we will allow the water to flow for 300 seconds. Once the 300 seconds is completed, we again close the capillary tube. So, since the water has flowed down through the capillary tube, the level of water in aspirator bottle will decrease, and that height of water in aspirator bottle is noted down as H2. The radius of the capillary tube is calculated again using a it can be measured using a travelling microscope, as we did in the previous experiment, that is surface tension. The density of water, as I told again in the previous experiment, the density of water is 1 gram per cc. So, the average height of water before the water flow and after the water flow is calculated as H1 plus H2 by 2, and the water collected in the beaker is poured into a measuring jar, and the volume of water collected is noted down as V. So, all these are noted down. L is the length of the capillary tube, initial water level H1, final water level H2, height of water level in aspirator bottle H is equal to H1 plus H2 by 2, that is measured, calculated, and the volume of water collected for the given time t seconds is also noted down as V. This is the tabular column to find out the radius of the capillary tube. Similar to that one, we did it in the surface tension experiment. So, the coefficient of viscosity is calculated as pi h d g t r to the power of 4 divided by 8 L V, where pi is again 22 by 7, h is the height of the liquid in the aspirator bottle, d is the density of the liquid, g is acceleration due to gravity, t is the time for which we are allowing the water to flow out, r is the radius of the capillary tube, L is the length of the capillary tube, and V is the volume of the water flowing out of the capillary tube. So, the CGS unit of coefficient of viscosity of liquid is the Poise, named after the scientist Poiseuille. The SI unit is Newton second per meter square. The value whatever we calculate in Poise, if it is multiplied by 10 to the power of minus 1, it gets converted to the SI units, that is Newton second per meter square. That finishes the experimental part. Next, we will have to solve some problems based on the properties of solids and liquids. The first problem is a steel bar of rectangular cross section 0.05 into 0.025 meter supports a load of 2 tons. Calculate the strain. So, the data given in this problem, the rectangular cross section, a wire is in rectangular in shape. So, the length is, if you take it as 0.05, breadth as 0.025, the cross sectional area is 0.05 into 0.025 square meter. The force acting on the wire is calculated as m into g, where m is 2 tons. So, m into 9.8, m into 9.8, that is 2000 into 9.8 is calculated as the force. Stress is calculated as the force per unit area, that is 2000 into 9.8 divided by the cross sectional area 0.05 into 0.025, and we get an answer of 15.68 into 10 to the power of 6 Newton per meter square. The bottom of a rubber block, second problem, the bottom of a rubber block of 20 centimeter thick is fixed at the bottom. A shear force is applied on the top face, moving it through a distance of 2 centimeter. The shear strain is dash, or we have to calculate the shear strain. So, the data given in this problem is the height of the block is shown in the figure as 20 centimeter, that is written as L, and when a force is applied at the top face, the face is getting displaced through a distance of 2 centimeter, that is written as x. So, the shear strain or the angle of strain is calculated as x by L, that is 2 by 20, that is equal to 0.1. An aluminum cube of side 4 centimeter is subjected to a tangential force of 18 Newton on the top face with the bottom fixed. Calculate the shear stress. So, the figure is shown clearly, it is an aluminum cube. So, a cube is equal sided figure, 6 sided figure with equal sides. So, the length, breadth and width, or height, length, width, all are same, and that is given as to be 4 centimeters. So, a force of 80 Newton is acting at the top face. So, when a force acts at the top face, the face gets shifted. So, a rectangular or square front becomes a parallelogram. So, the shear stress is calculated as F by A, or the force per unit area of cross section is calculated as shear stress. So, the force acting here is 80 newtons, the area of cross section is 4 into 4 centimeter, or 4 into 10 to the power of minus 2 into 4 into 10 to the power of minus 2 meter square. So, if we convert it to meter square, the centimeter is to be multiplied by 10 to the power of minus 2. That is what is done in the calculation, 80 divided by 16 into 10 to the power of minus 4. So, that gives an answer of 5 into 10 to the power of plus 4 Newton per meter square. So, the stress acting on the body is 5 into 10 to the power of 4 Newton per meter square. So, the fourth problem, when a balloon is taken to a particular depth in sea, its volume is reduced by 20%. Calculate the compressive strain. So, here the original volume of the balloon, if we take it as V, since it goes into the deep sea, the volume decreases by 20% of the original volume. So, the decrease in volume is 20% of V. So, the compressive strain is calculated as the change in volume to the original volume. So, we get it as 20% of volume by original volume V, 20% of V is calculated as 20 by 100. There is a mistake again in the slide, it is not 200 by 100, it is 20 by 100 into V by V. So, we get an answer of 0.2. So, the compressive strain here is 0.2. Fifth problem, a wire of mass 20 kg and cross sectional area 4 square meter breaks by its own weight. The breaking stress is dash. So, the answers are again given, but let us find out which is the right answer. So, the data in the problem given is a wire of mass 20 kg, a wire is acted upon by a mass of 20 kg. So, the mass acting on the wire is 20 kg, m is 20 kg, cross sectional area is 4 square centimeter. The breaking stress is breaking force by area, or the weight of wire by area. So, that is equal to m into g by a, that is 20 into 9.8 by 4, or we get an answer of 49 Newton per meter square. So, option 2 is the right answer, 49 Newton per meter square. The next problem, a wire of length 5 meter extends by 2 centimeter by a certain tensile stress. The longitudinal strain is dash. So, here we are asked to calculate the longitudinal strain. So, the data again, the original length of the wire is 5 meters, the change in length is 2 centimeter or 0.02 meter. If we divide 2 centimeters by 100, we get the length in meters, that is 0.02 meter. Longitudinal strain is dl by original length. Again there is a mistake in the formula, please note down. The longitudinal strain is change in length to original length. So, dl by capital L, that is 0.02 by 5, we will get an answer of 4 into 10 to the power of minus 3. So, the option 1 is the right answer. The next problem, a hydraulic ram is to exert a maximum thrust of 100 kilonewton. If the pressure of liquid is 12 Newton per meter square, the area of the ram is dash. So, pressure is given to us, the force acting on the piston is also given to us, we are asked to calculate the area, cross sectional area of the piston. So, force F is 100 kilonewton, pressure is 12 Newton per meter square. So, we know pressure is equal to F by A, force per unit area of cross section, or force per unit surface area. So, A is equal to F by P. Substituting the values, we get an answer for area, cross sectional area as 8.33 into 10 to the power of minus 2 meters square. So, the option 4 is the right answer. Question number 8. A fish is found at a depth of 4,000 centimeter in the sea. If the density of the sea water is 100,000 to 25 kg per meter cube, then the pressure of the fish is dash. So, the height of or depth of the sea is 4,000 centimeter or 40 meters. The density of the liquid is 1025 kg per meter cube. Pressure has to be calculated. Pressure is calculated using the formula rho g h, where h is the depth, rho is the density, g is the acceleration due to gravity. So, substituting these values, we get the pressure at a depth of 400 centimeter as 401.8 kilonewton per meter square. Next problem, a cylinder 25 centimeter high and 25 square centimeter in cross section is filled with water. Thrust exerted by water on the bottom of the cylinder is dash, that is the problem. So, the data given is the depth of the cylinder is 25 centimeter or h is equal to 25 centimeter, cross sectional area or the base area is 28 square centimeter. We are asked to calculate the force exerted by the liquid at the base. So, thrust on the bottom is equal to weight of liquid, weight of the liquid is m into g, m can be written as volume into density or rho, volume into rho, v into rho into g, but the volume of the cylinder is cross sectional area into height of the cylinder. So, the formula reduces to A into h into g into g, rho. So, substituting these values, we get the thrust exerted by the liquid at the bottom as 1.96 into 10 to the power of 5 dyne, or we can write it as 1.96 Newton, because 1 dyne is 10, 1 Newton is 10 to the power of 5 dynes. The next problem, in two capillary tubes of different diameters, the liquid rises in one case to a height of 10 centimeter and in another to a height of 20 centimeter. The ratio of their diameters is dash. Since the density and the surface tension of liquid remains the same, the ratios of or the product of H1 D1 must be equal to H2 D2, or Here the heights in two different capillary tubes, H1 is 10 centimeter, H2 is equal to 20 centimeter. We are asked to calculate the ratio of the diameters, that is D1 by D2. So, since as I told, since the surface tension, acceleration due to gravity remains same, the product H1 into D1 must be equal to H2 into D2, or D1 by D2 is equal to H2 by H1. So, the ratio we get it as 2:1. The next problem, a capillary tube of internal diameter 0.2 millimeter is dipped vertically in water. If the water rises to a height of 15 centimeter, then the surface tension of water is dash. So, the data in this problem available for us is the diameter of the capillary tube D is equal to 0.2 millimeter or 0.02 centimeter. Height of the liquid in the capillary tube is 15 centimeter. We are asked to calculate the surface tension of water. So, the formula to calculate the surface tension of water is Hgr by 2. H is the height of the liquid, G is the acceleration due to gravity, and R is the radius of the capillary tube. So, radius of the capillary tube is diameter by 2, D by 2. So, 0.02 divided by 2 has been substituted there. Height of the liquid is 15 centimeter, acceleration due to gravity is 980 centimeter per second square. So, get the surface tension of water as 73.5 dyne per centimeter. Area of a thin water film increases from 6 centimeter into 3 centimeter to 6 centimeter into 5 centimeter. If the surface tension of water is 73 dynes per centimeter, calculate the surface energy. So, area of the water is increasing, height is remaining same 6 centimeter, only the length, horizontal length is increasing from 3 centimeter to 5 centimeter. So, A1, if we calculate the area of the initial water film, that is 6 centimeter into 3 centimeter, we get it as 18 square centimeter. If we calculate the new area as A2, that is 6 centimeter into 5 centimeter, that is equal to 1330 square centimeter. Excuse me, the surface tension T is equal to 73 dynes per centimeter, it is given in the problem. So, the surface energy has to be calculated, it is calculated as work done, that is equal to surface tension into area, where A is the change in area. So, T into A2 minus A1 into 2, that is equal to 73 into 30 minus 18 into 2, that is equal to 1752 joules. The next problem, a castor oil of viscosity 98.6 SI units, SI units for viscosity is Newton second per meter square, fills the space between two horizontal plates 0.01 meter apart. If the lower plate is stationary and upper one moves horizontally with a velocity of 3 meters per second, then the tangential force per unit area is dash. So, the coefficient of viscosity is given as 98.56, the distance between the two layers is given as 0.01 meters. The velocity gradient, change in velocity between the two layers, because the bottom layer is fixed, only the top layer is moving, the change in velocity or the relative velocity difference between the two layers is 3 meters per second. So, we are asked to calculate the tangential force per unit area of cross section. According to Newton's law of viscosity, the viscous force F is equal to minus eta A dV by dx, where N is the coefficient of viscosity, area A is the area of cross section of each layer, dV by dx is the velocity gradient. So, substituting the values, F by A is equal to N dV by dx, we get the force per unit area of cross section as 29.58 kilonewton per meter square. The next problem, a steel bar of length 6 meter and rectangular cross section 5 centimeter into 2.5 centimeter supports a load of 2 tons. How much is the change in length of the bar given the Young's modulus of steel is 20 into 10 to the power of 10 Newton per meter square and acceleration due to gravity g is equal to 9.8 meter per second square. The data available for us in the problem, original length of the wire E is equal to 6 meters, cross sectional area is 5 centimeter into 2.5 centimeter, and the force is 2000 tons into G, that is 2000 into 9.8. Young's modulus of the wire is given as 20 into 10 to the power of 10 Newton per meter square. We are asked to calculate the change in length dl. Young's modulus is given by dy is equal to f by a into capital L by dl or E by dl. So, dl is equal to change in length dl is equal to f by a into original length capital L divided by Young's modulus. Substituting these values, we get the change in length of the wire under the action of a force of 2 tons or a load of 2 tons as 0.4704 in millimeters or 470.4 into 10 to the power of minus 6 meter. Next problem, a block of rubber 50 centimeter long, 5 centimeter wide and 20 centimeter thick is fixed to a rigid support at its lower face and a shear force of 400 Newton is applied to the top face, which moves through a distance of 2 centimeter. Calculate the modulus of elasticity of rubber. So, the force acting at the top face F is equal to 400 Newton, cross sectional area of the top face is 50 centimeter into 5 centimeter, 50 centimeter into 5 centimeter. If we convert centimeters to meters, we have to multiply each quantity by 10 to the power of minus 2, that is 50 into 10 to the power of minus 2 meters into 5 into 10 to the power of minus 2 meters. So, when the force is acting at the top face, the bottom is fixed, whereas the top face gets shifted by a length of 2 centimeter, that is the x is equal to 2 into 10 to the power of minus 2 meter. Length of the width of the block W, again there is a mistake in the thing, please correct it. W is equal to 20 centimeter or 20 into 10 to the power of minus 2 meter. So, the rigidity modulus of elasticity of rubber is given by F by A into W by x or L by x, that is equal to 400 into 20 into 10 to the power of minus 2 divided by 50 into 10 to the power minus 2 into 5 into 10 to the power of minus 2 into 2 into 10 to the power of minus 2. So, we get a modulus of elasticity as 16 into 10 to the power of 4 Newton per meter square, 16 into 10 to the power of 4 Newton per meter square. Next problem, two similar wires of steel and copper, elastically similar wires of steel and copper are stretched by equal forces. If the total elongation is 1 centimeter, find how much wire is elongated. Given Young's modulus of steel is 20 into 10 to the power of 10 Newton per meter square and that of copper is 12 into 10 to the power of 10 Newton per meter square. So, if we take the Young's modulus of steel as Ys, that is 20 into 10 to the power of 10 and Young's modulus of copper as Yc, that is 12 into 10 to the power of 10 Newton per meter square. The total change in length or extension in length when the two wires are joined together is given as x plus y, that is equal to 1 centimeter. We are asked to calculate the extension in each wire, or x equal to watt and y equal to watt. So, Ys is equal to F by A into Ls by x, where Ls is the original length of steel and x is the extension in the steel wire, and Young's modulus of copper is F by A into the extension original length of copper wire by extension in copper wire. So, if we calculate the ratios of these and simplify, we get the extension in steel wire as 3 by 8 centimeter, and that in the copper wire y is equal to 5 by 8 centimeter. Next problem, an aluminium cube of each side 4 centimeter is subjected to a tangential force such that top force of the cube is moved by 0.012 centimeter with respect to the bottom. We have asked to calculate the shear strain, shear stress, shear force, giving the rigidity modulus as 2.08 into 10 to the power of 10 Newton per meter square. The data available for us is the rigidity modulus N is equal to 2.08 into 10 to the power of 10 Newton per meter square. Cross sectional area is 4, because it is a cube, as I told earlier all sides of a cube are equal. So, the cross sectional area is 4 centimeter into 4 centimeter, and the width of the length or width of the cube is also equal to 4 centimeter. So, rigidity modulus is shear stress by shear strain, or shear stress is rigidity modulus into shear strain. So, substituting the values, we get the shear stress as 6.24 into 10 to the power of 7 Newton per meter square, and the shear stress is equal to shear force per unit area, or shear force is equal to stress into area. So, we get the force as 99.84 kilo newtons. So, the shear strain is 0.003, shear stress is 6.24 into 10 to the power of 7 Newton per meter square, and shear force is 99.84 kilo Newton. The next problem, a force of 1000 kilo Newton per meter square is required for breaking a material. If the density of the material is 3 into 10 to the power of 3 kg per meter cube and G is equal to 9.8 meter per second square, find the length of the wire made of this material so that it breaks by its own weight. So, the data available for us is stress is equal to 100 kilo Newton per meter square, kilo is 10 power 3. So, we write it as 100 into 10 to the power of 3 Newton per meter square. Density is given as 3 into 10 to the power of 3 kg per meter cube. G is 9.8 meter per second square, and we are asked to calculate the weight for which the wire breaks. So, weight of wire is equal to breaking force, or weight of wire is equal to M into G. So, A into L into rho into G, where L is the length of the wire, A is the cross sectional area of the wire, rho is the density of the material, and G is the acceleration due to gravity. So, substituting these values, we calculate the length of the wire as 3.4 meters. Lastly, when a sphere is taken to a depth of 0.5 kilometer in the sea, its volume is reduced by 10%. If the density of the sea water is 1000 kg per meter cube, find the bulk modulus of material of sphere. So, depth of the sea is 0.5 kilometers or 500 meters, change in volume is 10% as that of the original volume, density is 1000 kg per meter cube. So, we are asked to calculate the bulk modulus of the material the sphere is made of. So, pressure on the sphere at a depth of 0.5 kilometers is given as P is equal to rho G H, that is calculated as 49 into 10 to the power of 5 Newton per meter square, and that is equal to the force per unit surface area. So, K is equal to force per unit surface area by dV, change in volume to original volume. So, calculating, we get the bulk modulus of the material as 49 into 10 to the power of 6 Newton per meter square. Thank you. Thank you.